Hello. Like that. I'm not going to go like that in a minute. Love. Oh, still recording. Thanks. Love. Okay. Welcome everybody. It's so exciting to be able to finally start doing this. So for those of you that don't know me, that's kind of never heard of me, so I'm Tish. I am a currently training sport and exercise psychologist. I'm just going to turn this down because it's like right in my ear. It's doing me head in. I love listening to my own voice sometimes, but 9 times out of 10 I hate it, so that's better. No, it's still bugging me. Hang on, guys. There we go. So straight away you can get the gist of kind of how raw this is going to be, because intro episodes into who I am, and already I'm like, it's driving me mad. So yeah, I'm a training sport and exercise psychologist, and kind of the reason behind this podcast and what we're doing is really, really simple, I guess. It's more about kind of just looking behind the scenes of people, who they are, especially within sport. Now, throughout this podcast, you're going to hear and see, if you're watching the video as well, different people, different backgrounds, different sports, people that don't even do sports. Just because behind the face of it was born out of me realizing that we often take what's on the surface level as gospel. And although sometimes that's fine, because we don't need people to see the good, bad, and the ugly all the time, it's not necessary. We have this ability to mask things that are going on, and I would say more often than not, it's to our own detriment. There's a time and a place for it. And I would say ever since I started my training in psychology, since 2019, so about 7 years in now, I've started to understand it more and more, and I've started to I understand its place. But what I kind of want to get out there, and what I want to talk to you guys about more often, is the pros and the cons of it. In the hope, really, that more people can relate to each other and kind of just not feel like they're on their own. Like we although we're more accepting now of the knowledge around masking, and kind of the idea of what you see is not always the full reality of someone's life. What I want to try and do is get you thinking about why we do it, why you personally do it. So over the years, there's one thing that's bugged me, and this is tick boxes, because although it's oversaid and it's so talked about probably too much now about being different, it's so relevant. But I want it to be relevant to you, and for it to mean something for you about being yourself, or realizing that you're not on your own when people are thinking certain things. I started to hear a lot of stories, and as I was talking to not only athletes but just people in general, people that would walk through the door where I was working, I was starting to see the real person underneath, and then I would watch them walk off, or and I'd watch them interact with other people, and I'm thinking, why are they doing that? Why are they feeling the need to put that face on, or not necessarily pretend to be something they're not, but more along the lines of in that moment be a different version of themselves, whether it's real or not. You know, that was never me. It was never me for me, sorry, to judge that, or for me to have the right to ask them about that. It was more, I was interested, literally just interested in why we do that and why that happens. I am my biggest case study, guys. So this is why you will hear quite often some episodes where I am on my own, as well as talking with my husband Ben. You'll get to meet him in another episode, and people as wide as I can reach different people, because that's where my interests lie. Another kind of driving force behind the face of it is, it kind of takes me back to when I was really, really young. And this isn't really a story that anybody's heard, because I've never really felt the need to share it, because it doesn't really relate to anyone as far as I knew. But when I was really young, one of my sisters, so I'm one of 5 children, I'm the youngest, so shout out to the best till last babies out there. But I'm one of 5, and one of my sisters was staying with my grandmother. She was living with her at the time, and she was living in this the loft part of the house that was converted. And I remember this mirror being in the corner of the room, and I remember looking at myself in this mirror. I don't know where she was at the time. I think she was downstairs. And just looking at myself thinking, who is that person? Like, who is that person looking, staring back at me? I was young. I mean, I'm talking probably easy teenage years. So I was early teens, I think, somewhere around there. And I wasn't even that. I was probably preteen, to come to think of it. And I was always writing poetry at this point. My grandmother had taught me to write poetry, and my sister came back up into the loft, and I said to her, I need a title for a poem, and it's about me, and you know, it's about who I am, and this, that, and the other. And she came out with this title of "I Didn't Choose This Face," and that has forever stuck with me. And reflecting back on the last nearly 30 years, I would say, it kind of shaped everything that I did, everything that I do. You know, the decision to go into sports psychology, or psychology in general, the decision to kind of try and find my way into a helping role of some sort. And so it sparked that interest of, well, if the title of "I Didn't Choose This Face," at the time it was, oh, that's really cool, like, because you don't realize that sometimes the decisions that you make are based on other people's actions. You know, I think they call it like the butterfly effect. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it's called. And so throughout my life, things have kind of kept popping up, like writing songs, based on this idea that there's so much more on the surface. So then from that came A Crying Smile, which is a song that I wrote. And it was about smiling, but crying underneath. And so all through my life from that point, it's been about hiding oneself, hiding yourself from the world, for whatever reason that is. And when I decided to go to university and do a degree, it was psychology, psychotherapy and counselling, because I had this deep-rooted interest in understanding what people felt, why they felt it, and how common it was, and seeing if there was a way that I could help people in such an organic and authentic way whilst figuring myself out, because that was always going to be a biggest challenge, guys. And you may or may not agree with me on this, but understanding yourself is so hard, it's so complicated, and it's an ongoing thing. Like, you'll never be in a position where you'll think, oh, I know who I am now, because then something else happens and it completely annihilates all of your ideas and thoughts about who you thought you were. So all of a sudden I'm catapulted into this world of trying to understand myself and trying to understand other people. And then it snowballed from there. Excuse me. It kind of just went from one thing to another. I went through all sorts of things going on in my life, which allowed me to find a passion within sport and exercise, because of how powerful it was, and that's another discussion for another time. But in a nutshell, that's kind of where Behind the Face of It came from. And, I have to thank my sister for that, because unknowingly she kind of helped with the I can't say this word, trajectory of where my life went, because I always had this idea to draw back on that there are things that we hide underneath what's on the surface. So I kind of want to ask you guys a question, and it wouldn't be me if I didn't. And you'll probably find that I'll be asking you questions just to kind of think about. If you want to share them with me, by all means, reach out and share your answers with me, drop them in the comments, whatever. You're more than welcome to. But you'll find me doing this throughout episodes because I genuinely have an interest in people. I'm probably the friendliest, unfriendly people, non-people person you'll meet. And I know that will resonate with so many people. Because, again, everybody is the same, but everybody is different. We are different. And I realised that it's because it has to be on your terms. It has to be on your terms when you speak to people, when you don't speak to people, and when you are interrupted in a time where you need to be alone. That's when you become unpeoply. Okay, so I just want to slip that in there. In my opinion, that's when we become unpeople. It's not that we don't like people as a rule. It's just that when we're in that space where we need time to ourselves, if somebody catches us in that moment, or is it a fly on a wall, when we respond to somebody in that moment, we can be, argumentative, we can be off, all sorts of things. It doesn't mean we don't like people. It just means that our tolerance level is so low because we need that time on our own. Anyway, we digress. The question that I wanted to ask you was, why are you listening to my podcast? And now some of you will laugh and kind of go, I don't know. But in all seriousness, why are you listening to this? Now, it could be that you just know me. It might be that you've heard about the podcast. It might be that you want to see if it sucks, so that you could be like, yeah, I told you it was going to suck. Or it might be that we have a really good relationship. You already know me and you already trust me, and you kind of just are interested in what I have to say, and also who's going to be coming on the show. But I really want you to think about that, why you're listening and what's brought you here. So, for example, if the immediate feeling or the immediate thought that comes to mind is because I was told to. Okay, that's your surface level answer. I'm listening because I was told to. Okay, but you still had a choice. You still had made that decision to jump on and listen, right? So what really brought you here? Was it that you don't like me? Was it that you do like me? Was it that you really want to know if this podcast is worth listening to because you've been told that there's guests? But for you as a person, why are you listening right now? Now, I don't need an answer to that. It's just something for you to think about. Because that will tell you, hopefully, a little more about you. Are you interested in podcasts and you just want something new to listen to? Do you enjoy the topic of sports, psychology? Do you know Ben? Do you know us as a whole family? Like, why are you here? And then I just want you to kind of ponder on that. The kind of people that you will hear and see on this podcast, generally my idea is to get a varied bunch. Now, I am a big advocate for being authentic, kind of being very organic. So although we will have structure on this podcast and it will kind of hopefully have a focus towards sport and exercise psychology, or sport in general. We may get things on, we may get people on that have absolutely nothing to do with that. I don't know. And that's how I always want it to be. You may get me here in a sweatsuit, hoodie. Where did sweatsuit come from? You may get me here in a hoodie and a baseball cap, which I'm in right now. Or you might get me suited and booted. Or you might get me sweaty returning from the gym. Because I will schedule these podcasts, but what you see is what you get. Like, it's going to be completely, hopefully, unfiltered. Maybe edited. Might have to snip things out now and then. Because at the end of the day, I am a mom. We have a life outside of this podcast, which I'm pretty sure you're going to hear about throughout the episodes. But completely unfiltered. And I think that's the beauty of what we're doing. That's the beauty of what we're doing. You're going to see all sorts. So have a think about why you're here. Have a think about why you're listening. And if it is just as simple as that you were just interested, okay, cool. But why? Why are you interested? And if you're sat there thinking, I have no idea what she's talking about, well, hopefully through the coming episodes, you might get an answer to that. You might start understanding yourself a little bit better, or you might think I'm talking absolute rubbish. Either is fine. All I would ask, guys, for those of you that are listening, I'm not going to tolerate any kind of hate speech. I'm not going to tolerate any, anyone trying to ruin this as a safe space. I fully appreciate and welcome opinions, and if you want to have those conversations, if I'm talking about a topic that you believe you have a countering theory, or you have an idea or something that you want to share to have a discussion, 100% open for that. There are people that probably know about the topics that I'm going to talk about in far more detail. They know about them better, or you will have an opinion on them or a different idea. 100% welcome it. I think it's really, really good. And I promise you, I will never disrespect anybody that comes to me with those ideas and opinions. But what I will not tolerate is any kind of hate towards people that are interacting on my podcast. Anybody that comes in that I'm interviewing, you will immediately be blocked, because what I want to create is something really good, something really nice, and something that everybody can enjoy. So we're going to have a laugh. We're going to have fun. It is for everybody. If as well there are any issues, guys, reach out to me. It's totally fine. It's totally cool. Behind the face of it is all about being raw, honest, open, but also being in a safe space and be able to be yourself. So you will find that some episodes won't have videos on them because the people that I'm interviewing don't like being on video, and that's totally cool. And there are others that maybe want things taken out and things like that, and I 100% respect that. So that is what you can expect. A little bit about me. I'm just here, to facilitate learning about ourselves and about people, because I heard, I don't even know where I heard it, but I heard somewhere where it was a podcast that I was listening to, and you will find this when I'm talking, I will completely forget where I've heard things, and I could have read it an hour before, or heard it an hour before, so I do apologise. But I heard this idea that when you are out with a group of people, or you're in a study hall, or you're in a restaurant with people, you feel like you have to act a certain way, or you have to be a certain way and enjoy certain things just because you think everybody else enjoys that, or enjoys those things, or acts a certain way. Okay, but actually what we find is that those other people are making those assumptions too. So when we're talking about masking, and when we're talking about surface level stuff, like, that's what I'm talking about as well. Well, mainly, really, is that it's like when you get invited out by friends, are you coming out tonight? It's going to be so good. And you kind of feel obligated to do that. And all you want to do is sit at home and watch Netflix and sit in your comfies and cry under a blanket or whatever it is. But you go out anyway. And although you kind of have a good time, deep down you're like, oh, I wish I could have just stayed at home. Now, the idea of this theory is that they're thinking that too, because they think you want to go out or they think the other people want to go out. And so what you find is a group of people that wouldn't have gone out if they didn't have to, spending money, socializing at a time where probably all of them could have done with some downtime on their own with their family or whatever. And so there's this kind of social expectation that we put on ourselves. But when you actually hear the stories and you hear other people, you kind of go, oh my gosh, you know what? I didn't even realize that you guys didn't want to go out either. So that is kind of the underlying, that's what's underpinning this podcast, is you listening to people, you listening to me, and realizing maybe that actually what you're feeling is what everybody else is feeling as well, or that there's something that they're doing that's going to help you. The topics that are going to come up, I will already say that there's always going to be interviews, there's always going to be things that are going to be sensitive, so I will make sure that I put a warning on those if it's a sensitive topic. But I'm excited, guys, and I'm really excited to have you listening. So let's see how this goes, see if my brain keeps braining, because I wouldn't be here without you guys. I know I wouldn't. And let's see how we can help each other. You will get sick of hearing my voice, I promise. So I won't bore you every episode. But if there are questions and there are things that you want me to talk about, and I can, I will absolutely do that. Definitely. And if I can bring somebody on that's more specialized in that area or has a better idea of how to answer those questions, I will do that too. So yeah, welcome to Behind the Face of It, and just enjoy. I'm going to enjoy getting to know other people, and I really, really hope that you're going to enjoy getting to know us a little bit better, and we'll see you soon.